Rain second. Stay informed with Weather Center all day today and every day.
In the next half hour, Weather Center, a comprehensive national forecast. At 40 after, Weather Center continues with highway and air travel conditions. Then the weekend outlook. And at 50 after, Storm Watch. But right now, it's your local forecast on the Weather Channel.
Southeastern states should stay on guard today for another threat of severe weather. Good morning and welcome to Weather Center. I'm Dan Atkinson.
And I'm Kristen Dodd. Flood watches also cover a wide area as heavy rainfall continues. And the rain is moving up to the East Coast and eventually will spread moisture all the way from the Gulf up to New England. The areas now in the darker shades of green indicate where we do have flash flood watches in effect. And many of these areas also contain counties that are under a flash flood warning, meaning that flooding is taking place, especially in East Tennessee. Also in the mountains in western North Carolina. Big problems here on the roadways with flooded water. We'll have more on this coming up in just a moment on travel-wise. We're also seeing the flooding conditions extend northward with flash flood watches in effect for West Virginia and also in central Pennsylvania. And here's why. No wonder we do have the flash flood watches in effect, as we have seen almost 5 inches of rainfall since Thursday in Knoxville, Tennessee. Heavy rain also in Kentucky and Mississippi. In Birmingham, Alabama, you've received 2 3/4 of an inch of rain. And it's still coming down, clearing Birmingham now, but Atlanta, you have been inundated with rain with over an inch plus just today. And it looks like more heavy rainfall is coming, as we do have a front that is slowly pushing its way across the southeast. But even as that front passes by, we are looking at a little bit of lingering moisture behind it, so some lighter rainfall will come with the front. But where we do see the heaviest rainfall, we do see the potential for flooding. And here are some safety tips for you. Do not drive through any flood waters. You need to head to higher ground and keep the children and the pets away from flood waters. The power of the moving water can be quite dangerous, and also the flooded waters could be contaminated, so you need to be aware of that. Just stay away from them. In addition to the heavy rain, we also have the potential for severe storms ahead of our front this afternoon, eventually moving toward the coastline. So for the golfers today in Myrtle Beach and also in Hilton Head, it looks like you could see some strong storms by the end of the day. Here's where the front is right now, as an area of low pressure is now forming on the southern tail of that front. Strong storms ahead of it, now moving into the panhandle of Florida, and we do have special marine warnings in effect near the Big Bend area and also for Apalachicola. Clearing conditions well off to the west for Dallas and also San Antonio, but no such luck here in much of the rest of the southeast, with thick clouds extending all the way to Raleigh. 63 degrees right now in Raleigh. New Orleans, you are at 61. We have 59 in Dallas and Houston, with a little bit of fog right now, and 59 degrees. Cloudy skies stretching into the northeast ahead of our system that is moving up to the northeast. With it will spread the rain in Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. Right now we also are seeing a few of those showers showers sweep by New York City, heading toward Boston, but it looks like they will hold off throughout much of the day and come into the evening hours and overnight. The heaviest rain here in the darker shades of green, as we could see an inch of rain possible in a very short period of time. Right now, Boston, you have 60 degrees. Pittsburgh, a cool, rainy 46, and in Philadelphia, you have 53. Now here's Dan.
Thanks, Kristen. Conditions on the West Coast are where you'll find beautiful springtime weather. Meanwhile, only a small part of the Midwest is getting precipitation, but later on today there's a chance for strong storms moving in from the plains. Here's a look at the Midwest map, and you can see a low pressure area over eastern South Dakota. That is a weak surface system, but at the upper levels of the atmosphere there's a pocket of cold air, a cold upper vortex, which is working some energy down to the surface, particularly around Rapid City, South Dakota, where it's been quite breezy over recent hours. Winds out of the northwest at about 20 to 25 miles per hour, gusting to 30 and 35 miles per hour. Much of the Midwest is dry, although the radar satellite composite shows a lot of precipitation. Much of this is virga, or evaporating before it reaches the surface. You have had a few sprinkles around Minneapolis, St. Paul, and you do have in your forecast that continuing possibility of a few sprinkles, with a better chance later on this afternoon for showers and maybe some strong thunderstorms. And we take a look at radar for North Dakota. You've had a cold rain falling through much of the morning in the Bismarck area. Now that rain area has lifted a bit more toward the north. A little bit of light snow fell for several hours around Minot, but you now have a break in the precipitation. You can see precipitation spreading eastward across South Dakota, that on the southern edge of the low pressure area. It was moving toward the north across North Dakota, that counterclockwise circulation around the upper level low. Some light rain falling now at Sioux Falls and at Sioux City, also at Alliance, Nebraska, and some light snow falling at Rapid City, South Dakota, where the temperature is 32 degrees, but with the wind as high as it is, you'll be surprised at the wind chill there. We'll check that in just a moment. Pleasant 58 degrees now in Chicago. Look for partly sunny skies in the windy city. And the wind chill now 6 degrees at Rapid City, 28 degrees your wind chill at Bismarck. And you can see how the colder air has been pulled down out of Canada on the backside of that low pressure area. Temperatures at Bismarck, for example, 12 degrees colder than you were yesterday at this hour. You're headed for some unseasonable warmth in Los Angeles today with a high of about 82 degrees. Right now you're 63 in LA. Mostly cloudy and 44 in Salt Lake City. You could have a sprinkle. You're dry and partly cloudy, 50 or 42 degrees now in Denver. High pressure dominating most of the western half of the country, keeping things dry in most cases. A little bit of light snow falling from time to time, places like Stampede Pass, and also some light rain now around Grangeville, Idaho. The early evening forecast should find the low pressure area pulling across the north central portion of the U.S. Could have the rumble of some thunder with some isolated strong thunderstorms over eastern South Dakota, eastern Nebraska, much of Iowa, and southern Minnesota. And low pressure tracking onto to the northeast, spreading rain right on into New England and continuing rain for you in the mid-Atlantic area. Advise you, of course, to be very careful in those areas where flood watches are in effect. Conditions improving in the mid-Atlantic tomorrow morning as the low pressure continues to pull the rain on up toward the Canadian Maritimes, and the heavier rain, as you see, in the darker shaded green areas here.
And while Boston will have wet weather today, the outlook for tomorrow's Boston Marathon is dry, cool, and breezy.
We'll have live coverage of the 102nd running of the marathon Monday morning. Our reports begin tonight at 8 Eastern with pre-race activities, so join us this evening.
And don't get caught unprepared for your trip today.
Watch TravelWise coming up right after your local forecast. Don't go away.
Is Iams cat food good for life? Well, research suggests cats can lower your blood pressure and help their owners live longer, healthier lives. In return, help your cat live a long, healthy life with Iams. The wholesome ingredients in Iams are more digestible, so more nutrition stays in your cat. And cats love the taste of Iams. So feed them Iams day after day and enjoy their company year after year. Iams Cat Foods, good for life, from the Iams Company.
For the non-stop runny nose of allergies. Kleenex presents the very